This video is sponsored by Ring Central. Hey guys, in today's video, I'm doing a lens collection review. We are in the middle of 2022, and I think this is probably the biggest lens collection I've ever had in my entire life. I figured I would share this with you guys and help you if you are looking for something else to add to your collection, or if you're wondering which lenses do I keep on hand and which lenses do I get rid of. This video will give you that answer. Okay, here is my lens collection, and you can see it is completely unorganized at the moment. I do have my 3 APS-C cameras that I currently own. The A6600, the A6100, and my newest addition, the ZVE10, which I haven't even talked about, but I just actually opened from the box today. Anyway, these lenses are all very unorganized, so let me quickly organize them for you. Okay, so that's a little bit better. I have all of my full frame lenses on my left side, all of my APS-C lenses on my right. Now, before you guys ask, I am recording with my A7C right here. And I am using a lens that's not part of my collection. It actually hasn't been released yet, so I cannot disclose what it is at the moment, but you guys will see that review hopefully in about 2 weeks or so. And the purpose of my collection is really twofold. Number one, I have lenses that I keep for myself to record family events, just moments, my kids, things like that. And number two, I do keep a set of lenses just in case I need them for comparison reasons, because I do run a photography YouTube channel. So a lot of these lenses I could technically get rid of, but then I would have to rebuy every single time I wanted to use one to reference and compare to another new lens on the market. So that's why these are here. So the way that I've laid them out is from widest to most telephoto. So I'm going to start with this lens in the corner first. And this one is a Samyang / Rokinon 14mm f2.8 for full frame. You can see this one is in fact a Rokinon, but Samyang makes the exact same lens. It's a super ultra wide angle lens. This is great for real estate photography work. Relatively sharp, although when you are shooting real estate, you're going to be using f8 most of the time anyway. I use this mostly for reference for other wide angle lenses that are coming out. On occasion, I do use it for real estate work if I'm shooting full frame, but pretty rare that I use this thing. But it's a great performing little lens, not the sharpest thing in the world, but for the money, it's a good buy, I think. The second lens is one of my favorites. This is the Sigma 20mm f2, and this is part of their I series of lenses. So you can see the design is a bit on the unique side, and I really do like the way it's designed. Made in Japan, all metal construction. It is a solid feeling, solid lens, excellent autofocus, very sharp. A lot of my talking head shots are actually done with this when I'm using my A7C for talking head work, because I like to include my APS-C cameras in the reviews as much as possible. So I have no complaints about it whatsoever, and I would highly recommend you check this out if you're looking for a 20mm. It's one of my favorite focal lengths on full frame, so definitely highly recommended. Next up is a lens that every full frame photographer should have in his or her collection, and that is a fast walk around zoom lens. The one that I have is the Tamron 28-75 f2.8. This is the G2 version, as you can see, and it's vastly improved over the original just in build. It's a little bit smaller. Optically, it's much better. Autofocus is better as well. And I keep this lens around because I use it to benchmark everything else as far as fast zooms that come out for full frame. I do enjoy shooting with it. Sometimes I'll use it on a gimbal for some YouTube work, but not very often. But highly recommend this Tamron. It's a great lens. The third lens here is the only macro that I have in my collection. This is the Sony 50mm f2.8, and this is a macro that I use on my full frame as often as I do on my APS-C camera. This one does have autofocus. I typically will use manual focus with it, but if you need to get super up close shots, this is the perfect lens for it. For the money, you really can't complain. Pretty nice build as well, overall metal. It's a solid looking lens. Again, you can't really beat it for the money. The next lens here is one that I haven't reviewed yet. It's really just part of the collection for the time being. It even has a sticker still on it. This is a Makey 85mm f1.8 FTM. I'm in the process of reviewing this lens, so stay tuned for that. It's basically a budget version of the Sony 85mm with autofocus. So far, it's performing pretty nicely, but we will wait for the full review to make that determination. Next up is probably the sharpest lens I've ever purchased, used, seen. This is the 85mm f1.4 Art from Sigma. This thing is a beast. I mean, starting with the build overall, it is just solid. It's the heaviest lens I have in my collection. You guys saw it recently balanced on a gimbal. It is a massive piece of glass. It lets in a ton of light, and the results from this lens are simply amazing. It's a super shallow depth of field, 85mm, f1.4, built like a tank. Very expensive, but if you are looking for one portrait lens and you shoot primarily portraits, weddings, this is the lens that I would recommend over the Sony 85, over really any other 85 on the market. This is the benchmark, and so far no lens has even come close to the performance of this 85mm in terms of overall optical sharpness. Last up is this lens right here, which is another one of Sigma's I series of lenses. And this is a 65mm, so I went a little bit out of order. And this lens has been great. Now, the review that I did on it, you guys saw it was a very good performing lens. Near art levels of optics, I would say on par with Sigma art lenses. Obviously not as fast, it's f2, but it's very small, compact. Pretty new, this was released in 2020. All metal construction, has that same design. I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not. So far, I'm enjoying using it. I've been using it for just some B-roll here and there. It's a little bit redundant in my collection, so we'll see where this goes. Highly recommend checking out these series of lenses from Sigma. You cannot go wrong. All right, so those are all of the full frame lenses that I have currently in my collection. Before I move on to my APS-C collection, let's talk about today's video sponsor, RingCentral. RingCentral brings balance and connection to my workspace wherever I am. It's an all-in-one communication solution for my small business that's super easy to set up and has 24/7 support. My favorite thing about RingCentral is that it gives me full control of where, when, and how I receive business calls so I can have a solid work-life balance. This includes setting up rules such as all business calls go to voicemail after 6 p.m., which is nice. This also means that I can keep my personal life separate from my professional one by having a business phone line on my phone. No more carrying around two cell phones, and no more having to share my personal number for business. RingCentral is innovative with file sharing tools that connect to my phone and video and texting features that provide fast, easy, and secure idea sharing when I am collaborating with other people. They also provide real-time analytics and third-party encryption so I can grow my business without worrying about security. Lastly, it's nice to have one vendor and one bill for all of my communication needs, and they offer flexible options such as monthly or annual payments depending on how you have your business set up. If you'd like to try it out for your business, you can start a free 30-day trial of RingCentral down in the description below. There is a link, so please check it out. And special thank you to RingCentral for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's get back to the lens collection by talking about APS-C lenses. This is one of the many newest additions to my collection. This is the Sony 10-20G f4PZ, that's power zoom. Now, it's not my favorite as far as new Sony releases go, but the reason that I have this in my collection is strictly for this camera right here, the ZV-E10. This is a very compact vlogging setup. Now, I don't plan on vlogging more on this channel, maybe a little bit more, but the reason I bought this in the first place was for my wife, who does vlog on her channel, and so she wanted just a compact camera body. Because the ZV-E10 has built-in electronic image stabilization, it crops in a little bit, and so I figured getting a super wide angle lens is going to help with the stabilization aspect of this camera. So the whole setup is compact, it's lightweight. I think that this lens is going to live on the ZV-E10. Otherwise, it's a great lens if you are doing content creation stuff. I'd highly recommend it. Ultra wide, good optics, good autofocus, fast, silent. Build is pretty good as well, and it has that awesome power zoom. Doesn't extend or contract, it just stays this compact as long as you use it. The next lens is in fact my favorite new lens from Sony. This is the 11mm f1.8, and you guys have probably seen my review of this lens. This is the most exciting new release from Sony, I think, in a long time. Very compact. It's not a G lens, but it still has the autofocus manual focus switch. It has the focus hold button. I think it's a little bit wider than the 11mm that's listed here, because in my comparison it seems to give you a little bit more of real estate. So it's a great all-purpose vlogging style setup. Not for everyone, but a super fun dramatic lens to use. That's quite a bit different from the 10 to 20 that I just showed you guys. One of my favorites, can't go wrong. A lot of people ask this versus the Sigma 16, and I haven't made a video about that yet, but I have to say that the Sigma 16 is a little bit more usable because this certainly does distort faces and is ultra wide. Next up is this Viltrox 13mm. You guys have seen the review most likely, but it's a 13mm f1.4, one of the best built Viltroxes. Not one of, it is the best Viltrox lens that I've ever reviewed. All metal construction, just built solidly like a tank, and optically this thing is amazing. You guys saw in my comparison, it keeps up with the best of the best. It is a solid lens from Viltrox, and one for the money that you simply cannot beat. So I'd highly recommend that you guys check that out. I'm not sure if the Kickstarter is still live or not, but you should be able to pick one of these up. I'll try to post a link down in the description below. Next up is an old classic. So this has been in my collection for a while. This is the Sony 16-55G. And this is the most expensive lens I think that I own, and optically it is a performer. I mean, this thing keeps up with the Sigma trio of lenses. It's really solid. The thing is that I haven't been using it that much in the last few months. You'll see that I've been using the Sigma fast walk around a lot more than this. And I've played around with the idea of selling this G lens. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do it yet, but I am thinking about selling the 16-55. The thing that makes it a little bit worse than the Sigma that I'm about to talk about is minimum focusing it's not very good, just like this lens that I'm reviewing. It's not very good. It can't do that. Whereas the Sigma does an amazing job of minimum focus. So when I'm shooting B-roll, which is primarily what I was using this lens for, when I'm trying to get a product up close, it just doesn't focus correctly for me. And so that's why it's a little bit disappointing. It's great otherwise. I mean, all throughout the zoom range, this thing is sharp. And a lot of people ask, should I get something like this, or should I get the Sony 18-105 or the 18-135 or the Zeiss? And I tell people this is the one to get if you can spring for it. It's way better than those other options. But this Sigma 18-50 fast zoom is the lens to get. Now you guys see immediately, I mentioned this in the review, how much smaller this lens is than the 16-55 while covering effectively the same zoom range. The Sigma is maybe not quite as sharp at all focal lengths, but it's within 97% of the sharpness level of that 16-55 Sony. This thing is less than half of the price of the Sony, so you cannot complain. And again, the minimum focus is excellent on this. It does extend as you zoom in, just like the Sony. I would say 90% of the B-roll shots that you see on this channel are taken with this lens. Also, I've been using it a ton on gimbals lately, so I'll take it and then shoot gimbals at 18mm or zoom into 50, and it performs quite well. It doesn't have any built-in image stabilization, but that is okay. I forgive it because it's so small, it's so lightweight, and it is so affordable. And I'll say this again in this video, if you're looking for one lens to cover you on APS-C, this is the one to get. If you have full frame, the one to get is this Tamron 28 to 75 or something like it. There's a Sony version, a Sigma version. They're all pretty similar and pretty good. Full frame or APS-C, you'll be very happy with either one of these. I think these are bargains from Sigma and from Tamron for what they do on our mirrorless cameras. Okay, next up is a classic. This is the Sigma 16mm f1.4, and this is probably one of the most popular lenses on my channel, one that I've recommended to more people than any other lens out there, and more compliments that I get and more comments and DMs from people about this lens than any other lens out on the market. People love the Sigma 16 f1.4, and for very good reason. It's very solid construction. Optically, it is near flawless. It's a very good performer, and for the money, you simply cannot beat it. Sony tried with the 15mm f1.4, but you have to pay quite a bit more for that one. It's a very, very good lens, but it's a lot more expensive than the Sigma 16. And I'll be honest, I like the Sigma 16 a little bit more. Even though the Sony is very, very good, I still think that the Sigma is better. Next is this lens down here, and it's another Sigma. This one is the 30mm f1.4 DCDN for APS-C. This is a lens that not a lot of people love, just because when it came out initially, it did have some autofocusing issues. Firmware update has fixed that, and I'd say that this is a great lens now. Very compact. For a street lens, this is one of the best. I used to have the Sony 35mm f1.8. I sold that. It's also very affordable. This is a lens that you could pick up easily for right around $220 or so. $200. I've seen them go down to $199 on occasion. So if you look for a deal on this, you can pick one up. It's a great member of the Sigma trio, and one lens that I will probably never ever get rid of. Next is a manual focus lens, and this is a new one. So I just did a review on this, a Meiki 50mm f0.95. I was surprised with it. Very easy to use for an f0.95 and for a manual lens. I don't have another manual lens here. Very inexpensive and solid. It lets in a ton of light. Look at that front lens element there. Very, very good performer for f0.95. But it's not my favorite portrait lens. My favorite portrait lens is this Sigma 56mm f1.4. That should come as no surprise because I talk about this lens in almost every video. Now, for Sony APS-C, I think that this is the absolute sharpest lens available for sale. Very compact, very small, built well, made in Japan. This lens was released in 2018, and to this day, there hasn't been another lens released that I would say that is better than this one. So it is in my collection. I don't see it ever changing. I don't see me ever getting rid of this lens unless Sigma comes out with a Mark II version of the 56 f1.4, but this is optically basically as close to perfect as you can get. For portrait work on Sony APS-C, this is the only lens that you will ever need, so I would highly, highly recommend this one. And the last lens here is a bit of a surprise, but I'm including it here just because I got it in the kit that I got with my Sony ZV-E10, and that is the good old trusty classic 16 to 50 kit lens, f3.5 to 5.6. And I've never seen one this nice and clean. Obviously, this lens has never even been used before, and I probably will never use it. It's probably going to go back in the box and stay in the box, but it's cool to have a kit lens just to see, I guess, what you could be shooting with, and that is a not so great lens. It's not horrible, but there are a number of better options out there if you're looking for a lens that can do everything. If you just have a kit lens and you're thinking, should I upgrade to something like a fast walk around from Sigma? Absolutely. Take the plunge and do it. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit bigger, but it's going to pay off immensely when you start looking at the photographs that you're taking and the video that you're taking with the Sigma. Okay, so that is it for my lens collection middle of 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you learned something from it. This is a little bit more casual, non-scripted video, And yeah, it's a lot of lenses. Probably going to be selling a couple of them here shortly. So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. Which are your favorite? Which lenses do you think that I should add to my... Are you surprised that some lenses are missing from this collection? Let me know down below. As always, thank you so much for all of your comments, all of your likes, and your support. Stay tuned for more. Check out the links down below to Ring Central, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.